Okay, so I would just want to give you a few tips about able and able. Able, almost all the words that end in able or able, most likely, it's going to be able. There are hundreds of words that end in able, but they're like a fourth of the words that end in able. So if you are confused on whether a word should end in able and able, it's most likely able because most of the words end in able and not able. That is not to say that able doesn't have any words. It has a lot, but just not as many as able. And remember, they both mean the same thing, able to be. Okay. Now, able words. Remember when we saw readable and edible, how the root word can stand alone? That's a good clue to know that the word should end in able. Okay. So here's some examples. Here's some checkpoints. I already gave you readable, read, check, acceptable, check. We can use accept as a root word. But look down to edible. You know how you want to edit your paper? So if that work is edible, able to be edited, then it cannot stand alone, okay? So and then you see how it ends in IBLE? When it can stand alone, usually it ends in able. When it cannot stand alone, usually it ends in able. And remember, both of them mean the same thing. They mean able to be, okay? So here are some sample IBLE words, okay? So remember, most of them, they can't stand by themselves. I don't see anyone. Well, suggest is one that we pulled out, but the majority of these, they cannot stand by themselves. There's always an exception to every rule. But if you have to choose, I would choose able. Okay. So here's a tip. Most of the time, if it can stand alone, you're going to use able instead of able. All right. So remember, I know that sometimes there's exceptions to the rule and it can be frustrating because, okay, in this case, but just try to use your guide as much as you can. And remember that both words are suffixes. Both words mean able to be. Okay. Hey, everybody. Our next suffix is ness. Okay. So ness suffix, it means the state or quality of, okay? For example, if we have kind plus ness, it means the quality of being kind. We all need to spread a little kindness around. And another thing we need to spread around is happiness. So happy plus ness, it's the state of being happy. And I hope that all of you all have a little kindness in your heart and can spread a little happiness to others, okay? So a suffix is a word it's a word part at the end of a word. Remember, ness is a suffix that means the state or quality of. Another example, goodness. We all want to be good people. So it's the state or quality of being good. Be good, do good. Do something good for somebody today and show that you have goodness inside of you. Fullness, the state or quality of being full. I know last week it was Thanksgiving. Everybody was sitting back in all of their fullness from after their Thanksgiving meal. So fullness is at the end of ness is at the end of word because it is a suffix, and ness means the state or quality of being full. Ness means the state or quality, and fullness is the state of quality of being full. We were all very full last week. All right, so here's another one, coolness. Sometimes I think I'm a little cool, okay? So coolness, state of quality of being cool. Baldness, my brother, he's bald. So his head is kind of like the man. So that's state or quality of being bald. Okay. So when one person has no hair, they are bald. So their baldness is the state or quality of them being bald. Okay. So remember, ness is the state or quality of, and here's just a little tidbit for your parts of speech, ELA and heart. So when you add ness to the end of a word, it makes that word a noun. Okay. So let's practice by adding the suffix ness, the state or quality of being dark. Okay, y'all know we have a very short window for daylight these days. So the state of quality of being dark these days is, what is it? What is it? What is it? Dark plus ness gives us darkness. Okay, you guys, it's suffix week. This is still week 2 for our lit time. So I'm going to read this quote. To care less is to hurt less, but to love less. And without love, all that I would do would be worthless. So guess what the next suffix is? It is less, okay? To care less is to hurt less, but also to love less. And without love, all that I do would be worthless. So this last word at the end, it has a suffix, and that suffix is less. And less means, you got it, less means without. Okay. So the suffix less means without. So that's it. It means without. I place one of my favorite titles on the side, relentless. And if you don't know what it means, I want to challenge you to look it up. What does relentless mean? I want everybody at the middle to be relentless, okay? So we're going to do a little practice here. So with the word less, and we just said less means without. So less is a suffix. So we know that, even though it can stand alone, when it is attached to a word, it is not standing alone because obviously it's attached to a word, right? So it can be a suffix. So when less is at the end, it means without. For example, hope plus less gives us hopeless, means without hope. Use plus less gives us useless. And that word is without use, okay? So I want you to practice on your own what those words mean. But the key thing is what it means when we have less. The key thing is less means without. So when we add less to a word, it's without that base word that we're talking about, right? Hopeless. We all want hope. So we don't want anybody here in the middle to be without hope, okay? So when we have less at the end, it means without, okay? But I challenge everybody, if you don't know what the word relentless means, look it up, because we want everybody at the middle to be relentless, okay? Okay, AMS, we did not want to leave you this week without having at least one root word. So the root word that we want to talk about before we leave today this week is fawn, okay? So fawn, when we associate that like telephone, it is sound, okay? It means sound. So you associate that with sound or voice. So you see this tree, it has all these words up here that it contains the root word fawn, and the Greek word fawn, it means sound. So we have, anybody ever talked on a microphone? So it has that root word in there. Anybody ever play the saxophone? Anybody ever listen to a symphony? Okay, so all of those words contain the root word fawn, okay? And so that word means voice or sound. Anytime we see that root word, we want to make sure it associates with sounds. We just got finished taking H&M. Some of you guys took the phonics inventory, and that was about sounds. You had to have your audio for that, okay? So remember, when you see the root word, and remember, the root word is that base word. You can't have a word without root. Now, we can't have a word without prefixes and suffixes, but we absolutely cannot have a word without a root, okay? So root word fawn means sound. So I know that y'all are going to remember that, because everybody loves their phone, and their phone gives them sounds. You get to hear people's voices, okay? Enjoy your week at the middle. Make sure you practice your list and do a great job. See y'all later.